Hey there, Constance here at The Rebellious Gem, and welcome to my channel where this week it is all about mastering the art of tarot interpretation. If you are new to my channel, I welcome you. This is where I discuss all things spirituality, all of the things that I've tried, whatever it is that I've learned, in the hopes of providing some insight, some wisdom, and some empowerment to you on your spiritual journey to help you live your life rebelliously and really be your highest and best. So for the last few weeks, it's been all about tarot from the perspective of starting a tarot practice for yourself. So if you're new to my channel, a couple of weeks ago, I did do a video where I gave 7 benefits of starting a tarot practice for yourself so that you can tap into your own intuition. And then last week, I gave 10 tips for learning the basics or the mechanics of tarot to get you started on that tarot journey for yourself. So this week, I wanted to come back and just give you some additional tips on mastering the art of tarot interpretation. All right, so tip number 1, and probably the most important tip, is to treat tarot as the sacred practice that it is. Most of us already know that regardless of the religion or the belief system or the faith, everybody has a specific way that they contact the divine. And there's a reason for that. It's because it should be respected. There's a consecrated way to do things. You want to approach it with having a level of reverence or respect for it that you carry through your entire practice. So you always want to make sure that you have a dedicated area, a specific place where you keep your tools, and just have a lot of respect and reverence for it, because whatever you put in is what you're going to get out. All right, so tip number 2 is to always make sure that you've cleansed your energy and the energy of your tarot cards or whatever tools it is that you are working with. Like I just said, tarot is a sacred practice, so you want to make sure that every time you approach it, you're approaching it with a level of respect and reverence, which includes making sure that you and your tools are clean. Any tarot reader or any spiritualist knows that you always want to make sure that you're on top of your spiritual hygiene. Now, you can do a quick Google search if you're not familiar with that. There are tons of ways to cleanse yourself energetically and to cleanse your tools. Those include maybe tapping on your cards or doing like a sage ceremony or a grounding ceremony with yourself to make sure that you're in the right place energetically before you approach a reading. So moving on to tip number 3, which kind of piggybacks off of tip number 2, you want to make sure that you practice regularly and don't let the energy of yourself and your tools get stale. Now, of course, that's going to look different for everyone. Not everyone has time to do their tarot cards every day. However, it is very important that you don't just allow their energy or your own energy to get stagnant. You want to make sure that you practice on somewhat of a regular basis. Because your intuition and your gifts are like a muscle. You do have to work them out regularly for them to get stronger and for you to get better at practicing and using your intuition. So tip number 3, you want to make sure that you at least practice regularly. You know when you approach your tools if their energy is stale. So you may want to do a cleansing like I just mentioned in number 2, stay on top of that spiritual hygiene. But again, practice regularly if you really want to develop your intuition. Okay, so the first 3 tips were more so how to approach your tarot practice so that you can create a reciprocal relationship that you can get the most out of. The rest of the tips are going to be more geared toward developing your intuition. So tip number 4 is to gravitate to and use decks that call out to you. When you first get into tarot, the variety of decks available on the market can be very overwhelming. So I would actually suggest, rather than purchasing your first few decks online, that you go to your local metaphysical shop to see which decks actually call out to you. Again, practicing tarot is a reciprocal relationship. So you're going to want to see what decks call out to you, what decks pique your interest. Gravitate towards images and themes that are going to elicit your curiosity and that you're going to want to have fun with and want to interact with so that you can create that relationship. Because the last thing you want to do is go out there and purchase tarot decks that don't give you any impressions, that don't pique your curiosity, and that don't elicit your intuition or don't speak to your intuition. So tip number 4, gravitate to and use decks that speak to your soul. So tip number 5 is to start with a card a day and work your way up from there. When you first start tarot, in the same way that the variety of decks can be overwhelming, so can the variety of spreads. If you do a Google search, you're going to get everything from a 3-card spread to an entire tableau to a Celtic spread, which can be very overwhelming when you're just starting out. So in the beginning, I would actually suggest don't even start with any questions. Just start with a card a day, whatever card pops out for that day, and see what the impression is that you get of the card. Does it elicit any emotions? What does the scenery tell you? Because One of the most frustrating things is to pull a bunch of cards and be so confused about what the message is trying to relay that you get overwhelmed. So in my opinion, the best thing to do is to start with a card a day, which is also a great way to get to know your tarot deck without having the pressure of trying to read an entire spread or having to know your deck in its entirety to get any impressions from it. So in the beginning, again, I would start out with no questions, just start with a card a day, see what impressions you get for the energy for that day, and go from there. Okay, so hopefully you found these tips helpful so far. If you have, this is where I'm going to invite you to show me a little bit of love. Go ahead and hit that like button. And if you're interested in more spiritual content like this, go ahead and hit that follow button and the notification bell so you can be notified every time I drop new content. All right, number 6, like I just mentioned, don't start with any questions, or at least don't start with any emotionally or mentally charged questions. And the reason why I say that is because when you first start reading tarot for yourself, we have a tendency to look at everything through rose-colored glasses. So until you get the bearing around your cards, until you can start picking up messages that you're receiving intuitively and be able to actually accept those messages, I would steer clear of any questions, because you want to make sure that you are a clear channel for any messages that come through. And if you ask questions that are emotionally or mentally charged, you're not going to be able to read the messages objectively. So in the beginning, I would steer away from any questions, just shuffle the cards, see what cards pop out, and start interpreting the vibe from there. Moving on, I'm going to call this one 6.5 because it technically piggybacks off of number 6. If you are going to ask questions, and let's be for real, we all approach tarot with specific questions at different times. If you are going to ask questions, I suggest that you ask open-ended questions. You want to know all of the energy surrounding a particular situation, especially anything from a higher spiritual perspective. So you want to ask questions that are going to let you know the energy surrounding a particular situation, anything that may be influencing it, and what you can do about it. You want to ask questions that are going to give you insight and challenge you to think outside of the box. And with tarot, if you structure your questions in a way that information can flow, I promise you, you will never find yourself short of answers. Number 7, nothing is ever an accident or a coincidence. Nothing is ever an accident or a coincidence. Nothing is ever an accident or a coincidence. No, I am not stuck. I am not a broken record, but ask any seasoned tarot reader and they will tell you there is nothing more frustrating than getting a set of cards that do not resonate or that do not make sense at that time. But I promise you, just remember that nothing is ever an accident or a coincidence. If a specific card or a specific set of cards came out, they came out for a reason. So even though it may not resonate or make sense to you right now, don't just dismiss it. Make sure you sit with that energy, think about it throughout the day, ponder it, and eventually the meaning will come to you, because I promise you, nothing is ever an accident with tarot. Number 8, don't be so concerned with memorizing the cards. Learn the basic concepts of the deck that you're using and then trust the cards to speak to you. That's one of the places where I definitely got stuck on my tarot journey. I was so consumed with making sure that I had the appropriate meanings for all of the cards. I wanted to make sure that I had everything memorized. However, you are stunting your intuition that way. So as long as you have a general idea of what the elements mean in the cards, what the suits mean, a general idea of numbers, and some of the tips that I gave in my previous video, then just have confidence in that. Have confidence in knowing that you have a general understanding of what the deck is portraying, and then trust your intuition to speak to you through those cards. Don't be so concerned with memorizing. Moving on to number 9, describe the story that the cards are telling. This is one of the reasons why I said in number 8 to not be so concerned with memorizing the meanings of the cards. You want to describe the story that the cards are telling. So, who are the players in the story? What are they doing? What's the scenery? What is the energy relay? And as you get more comfortable, what are the cards saying in relation to each other? For example, you may have a card where the player's back is turned to the preceding card. So that could mean something like you're turning your back on a productive thought, or maybe a new creative venture, or maybe not wanting to see something that should be in your face. So that's why it's important to describe the scene and the story that the cards are telling individually and in relation to each other. You want to think outside of the box as much as possible and describe the scenery no matter how outlandish, because you never know what message Spirit may give you through your creative interpretation of the cards. So for my last and final tip, have the confidence to trust your intuition. Tarot should be fun, and if you're too wrapped up in the outcome or looking for specific answers, you're going to cloud the integrity of the information that you receive. If you are looking for some big reading or to have some type of life-altering interpretation, you may miss something that could be for your highest and best. If you are questioning yourself or questioning the information that you receive, you could miss something that could lead you into the next stage of your life. So whatever you do, relax, have fun, and have the confidence to trust your intuition and trust in the information that you receive. Your spirit guides are here to lead you to the life that you desire. So have fun, trust in the information that you receive, and trust your intuition. That's all I have for you today. Tarot truly is a window into your soul. I love tarot. There's a Shweta tarot quote that goes, "You are the secret. Let tarot explore you." So have fun on this journey. Explore yourself, explore the deepest, darkest parts of yourself, explore your desires, and explore any hindrances or any blockages that you may have. But whatever you do, have fun and enjoy the ride. I really hope you enjoyed this content. As always, thank you for tuning in and placing your eyeballs on my content. Have a great day. Rebellious Jen.